Hello, welcome to this fourth session of this course. Now we're going to talk a little bit more about exactly what CSS is and what are its basic fundamental concepts that you need to understand before we dive into the CSS code and its syntax and how we use it and integrate it with HTML. My name is Dr. Sean Bhatti. Let's begin. So CSS is basically a web page styling tool or code or a language. It's a technology that allows us to design our web page in an interactive, beautiful manner. HTML is whereas in last discussed in previous session was just for structuring the data. However, we use CSS for designing the content of our page. Everything within CSS is focused around how you design your page. All the attributes, parameters, all the content that we discussed in the first introduction was basically how you design this web page. CSS itself stands for Cascading Style Sheet. Okay, CSS describes how HTML elements are to be displayed on a screen or on your media devices. Okay. CSS allows us to control how your web page displays on different devices as well, of different screen sizes. So for example, you can view a web page on a large screen, 23-inch screen desktop, or you are viewing it on a small mobile device. How your web page should behave, how your web page should be responsible to different screen sizes. This is something that CSS allows us to control. HTML is just there to structuring the data. CSS will allow us to have that customized behavior of your web content based on the screen size as well, which we call responsive behavior. CSS saves a lot of work. It controls the layout of multiple web pages all at once. So now, for example, if I have this web page and there are 500 web pages throughout my website, for example, the customer says that, oh, I don't like this green background, I want to change it. Now we have already created 500 pages all with green background. Even though we have approved it, we did everything, at the end he said, no, I don't like it, we want to change it. What we need to do, then it's some chaos. So we have to go inside our every single web page and change the background. This becomes a nightmare. This is where CSS comes into play. What CSS does, it allows us to control our entire web page using single line of code. Okay, so with using single file, so we have 500 pages, we can control those 500 pages, the background of those 500 pages, in this case, for example, for the header, from a single line, or the entire layout of my web page from a single file. This is the beauty of CSS, that it allows us to manage and manipulate entire websites design elements, not the content. We don't change the content, we change its design. Okay, so this is the design. This is the design. So if I change this, now the design has changed. The contents are exactly the same. The contents are there, but we are just changing the design now. So as we change the design, basically the appearance, the look and feel is being changed. This is what CSS allows us to do. We have various ways of using CSS. Using internal, external, or inline CSS, we control the design layout of our CSS. And the major aspect is that now we create two separate files. One being HTML, which has the control of your tags and the data. The CSS controls the style. So we have a separate style which basically controls our style of our sheets. Okay, so this is another demo I showed you in previous class as well. Simple HTML page, we have it. Now we are controlling the different design of our page. So the HTML is there, the tags is there, it's same. By just changing the style, I'm completely changing the look and feel of my code. This is what the beauty of CSS is. So this is just CSS. So you see this complete design, we are not changing the HTML tag. The tags are there, the text is there, everything is same. It's just the design. This is the without the design. So if I look at it, now I get HTML page without any CSS. So this is pure simple HTML layout. Not very interesting. Right, but when we apply CSS to it, this is what we get. So CSS allows us to add that design feature within our HTML page. It allows us to control entire website's look and feel from just single source. So if you need to update your design, if you need to update your idea, if you need to update your concepts and colors and themes and layouts within your web page, within your website, within your web portal, you don't need to go inside every single page. You just change the one or two files from your CSS, and voila, everything gets changed, everything gets updated automatically. That's the pure beauty of CSS. Okay, so why we use CSS? Basically, we say we use CSS to define the styles of our web page, including the design, the layout, and the variations and displays for different devices and for different screens. That becomes the pure beauty of it. Okay, so CSS basically solves a huge problem that previously was never existed. What was that problem? That problem is basically what we refer to here. Then HTML never intended to contain tags for formatting web page. Okay, so HTML when it was designed was never there to basically allow us to format and design our web page. It was purely there for structuring purpose. So HTML only described the tags for structuring the content, that this is supposed to be heading, this is supposed to be paragraph. That's it. How the appearance of the paragraphs is supposed to be, it's for never job of HTML. This is where CSS comes into play. So when we use CSS, basically we use these tags to define our properties. We define CSS in a manner that we tell that, okay, what is going to be the background color of my page? What is going to be the heading color of my page? Okay, so the color in terms of its headings, its background, its alignment, its appearance in terms of its paragraph, and everything we do is basically design purpose. So every tag we discuss in our CSS is going to be able to allow us to control our appearance of our web page on devices. Okay, that's the primary purpose of CSS. Then CSS saves a lot of work. CSS saves tons and tons and tons and amount of work, especially if you are working on a larger project. If you have a huge size website, CSS allows us to control the entire design from a single source of file, which we basically call external web sheet. So from that external web sheet, we basically control the entire design of our website. Okay, so now you hopefully understand, okay, what we use CSS, why we use CSS, how we differentiate HTML and CSS. So let's just dive into CSS and see the exact syntax of CSS and how CSS is actually used in our web page through examples. See you next session.